Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today we are
Very
going.
good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So today we are going to talk about an important topic, and that is called OCD. So I'm going to request Punya to start with her presentation. Just a second, please. Okay. So yeah. So did we do the homework yesterday? Did you find out about the different types of phobias? And did you all write about the differential diagnosis? I think that's an important topic. So we have a couple of minutes before we start the meeting. Does anyone want to share what all differential diagnosis they could think of yesterday? Yeah, Tanvi, we'll send you the lecture yesterday. Yes, Sapal, panic attack and OCD are good options. What else did you think of? And when you write about what diagnosis did you think as differential diagnosis, please write points in favor and points against that also. ऐसे तो बहुत सारे हम सोच सकते हैं, पर आपको क्यों लगा कि कोई पर्टिकुलर डिसऑर्डर उस हिस्ट्री में बनता है और क्यों नहीं लगा, वो जानना बहुत जरूरी है. That is what will allow our critical thinking to develop, so that we can make up our mind that whatever we are discussing, whether it is um, suited to make that diagnosis or no. Yeah, nice. Good options, everyone. But I would just want you guys to sort of let me know. Okay. Punya, you can now start to share your screen and start with the presentation.
Hello.
Hi, Punya. Hi, you are audible. You can start with your presentation today.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. A hearty good afternoon to my lovely audience. My today's topic is obsessive compulsive disorders. Here is a case minute for you guys. Name is ABC of the client. Age is 34 years. Gender female. Education, she's master's in English. informant was the client herself, married housewife. The reliability of the information, it was totally reliable, and the information was adequate. Presenting complaints. The client came to us with the complaints of repetitive hand wash in a day, of repetitive hand wash in a day, which she was suffering from 11 years, cleaning the things in her and her husband's house whenever anyone, husband's room, sorry, whenever anyone enters the room. It was since 10 years, taking bath and asking child and her husband to take bath before sitting on the bed. It was from 10 years, thinking about washing hands and bathing all the time, decreased daily routine activities, decreased sleep, which was from 1 year. The onset was gradual and the course was continuous. The precipitating factor started
I think there are some network issues. Give me just a minute and then we will reconnect. The screen is also not working. Give me a minute, please. And until Punya is trying to join, there are some things that I wanted to share with you regarding OCD. I wanted to do this after we do the presentation, but I think I'll have to go ahead and share a couple of things with you right now. Okay, so let's talk about OCD. We are going to talk about obsessions in the first place. What are obsessions? I want everyone to sort of pay attention and understand that obsession is basically related to thought, okay? And compulsion is related to act. Punya, I sort of hijacked your presentation now. I'm going to talk about a couple of topics and hand over the screen back to you. Okay, so I'm talking about obsessions, obsessions being the thought and compulsions being the act, okay? And when we talk about thought, can anyone tell me the difference between obsession and delusion? I'm opening the chat box. I want you all to sort of think about if your mind is telling you that you need to do something, how is obsession different from a delusion? How is obsession different from a delusion? Yes, obsession means repetitive thought. Anyone else? Delusion means something we feel. No, actually, delusion is also a disorder of thought. It is not a disorder of feeling, which is why the important difference between obsessions and delusions, which is why I want you all to understand. When we talk about delusions and obsessions, we need to be very, very clear. Obsession is actually in reality true. Delusion is false belief, whereas obsession is recurring thought. Again, correct. What else? Keep it coming. I want you all to think about it and let me know what is it that you're thinking. Okay. Obsession is something that can be real, repetitive delusion is false. Okay. But the delusion appears very, very real to the other person who's feeling it. It doesn't appear real to everybody else surrounding that person. but जिसको आ रही है thought उसको तो really लगता है. Okay. All of you are very correct. Punya, would you like to take over?
Yes, ma'am. Now we were on the history of presenting illness. Hello, am I audible? History of presenting illness. The patient is married since last 14 years. Since childhood, she was very conscious of her hygiene, but it never hindered her routine activities. Now she is living in a joint family after her marriage. The symptoms started gradually. The, sym- the symptoms started gradually since last 11 years. She started washing her hands continuously since last 11 years. Earlier, yeah, I have shared the screen, Tapandeep. Earlier, it was 6 to 7 times a day. When she came to us, it went to 20 times a day. Gradually, after 3 years of her marriage, she had started cleaning things. She had started cleaning things in her and her husband's room. The situation got worsened when she had started bathing herself before sitting on the bed, and also had started asking the family members to bathe themselves before coming to her room. After her marriage, these symptoms started and gradually began affecting her relations with her husband and her family members. Her relations are not so good with her son. Her daily routine activities have also reduced as her mind is occupied with washing hands and cleanliness. These symptoms have also caused symptoms of low self-esteem, sense of guilt, low mood, inability to enjoy pleasurable activities, and decreased socialization. She has decreased sleep, appetite was normal. The patient does not have any family history. There are no symptoms of suicidal tendencies. Treatment history. The patient has been taking the treatment since last 5 to 6 years from different clinics, but she has been irregular in taking medicines. When she feels little better, she discontinued to take the medications. The past is, there is no past history, family history. Now here is the genogram. The square represents the male and the circle represents the female. This line means that they both are married, and after marriage they are having two sons. They both are also again married. The elder son is 35 years old and he is a businessman. He is married, and after his marriage, he is having a male child who is of 12 years. And the second son is also married and they are having a daughter. Personal history. She is described to be a reserved person. She is described to be a reserved person with few friends. She does not have any eventful developmental and birth history. Her academic performance was average. Pre-morbid personality. The patient was an introvert and reserved person. The patient had less social group. Now, mental status examination. Our history is covered. Now comes the mental status examination. General appearance and behavior. She was well dressed and adequately kempt. Rapport was established properly. The eye contact was proper with the clinician. Psychomotor activity. It was observed that in the whole interview, the patient was sitting with her hands folded inside. No other activity or agitation was observed during the interview. Speech. The tone of the speech of the patient was decreased at the time of interview. The speed of the speech, that is the tempo, was normal. The volume of the speech was normal. The reaction time of the patient was normal. Now comes the effect. The current mood of the patient was low and sad. The longitudinal mood of the patient was also low. For the longitudinal mood, we can ask the patient, how was your mood since last 1 week or since last 15 days? And the current mood was the present mood. Thought. In the content of thought, we have to ask the patient certain questions to know the content of the thought of that patient. Like in this case, we have asked the patient, what is the reason of coming here? She answered, I am having a problem of washing my hands many times in a day and also bathing myself whenever I want to sit in my bedroom. Then a question was asked that what type of thoughts come to your mind? She replied, I continuously keep on thinking that I will get the germs on my hands and whole body whenever I touch something. So I wash my hands and take a bath. Then the question was asked, how many times do you think you wash your hands and yourself? On that, she answered, before, earlier, I used to do it 6 to 7 times, but now it has increased to 15 to 20 times a day, which makes me feel sad. Next question was asked, what happens when sometime in a situation you cannot go and wash your hands? On this, she replied, whenever such situation comes, I get really anxious, which in turn provoke me harder to wash my hands, and I cannot stop myself to get my hands washed. Then the question was asked, do you spend much time on washing hands? She replied, presently I wash my hands in 15 to 20 minutes at a time, which was earlier just 5 minutes. I take 30 to 40 minutes to take a bath whenever I do. Sometimes, after washing my hands, when I close the handle of the tap, I again start feeling anxious and again wash my hands as well. I wash the handle too. Then the questions were asked, do you get any thought of killing people? She answered no. Have you get thought of counting things? She said no. Have you get thought of keeping all the objects present near you in a symmetry or in an arranged order? She said no. So here we can get the content of thought, what the patient has in his or her mind. Next comes the perception. No perceptual abnormalities were seen in the patient. Now comes the assessment of cognition. In cognition, first is abstract thinking. Firstly, the patient was asked to tell the meanings of certain proverbs which were asked by the interviewer, like don't judge a book by its cover. Secondly, all the glitters is not gold. Then the patient was asked to explain the similarities between the following: lion and tiger, cauliflower and cabbage. Then she was asked to tell the differences between stone and potato, table and chair. After listening to the replies, it was observed that the patient had an intact abstract thinking. Second area to assess was the orientation. For to assess the orientation, different questions were asked, like at present, which time of the day is going on? She answered afternoon. What is today's date and which day is today? Tell the current month and year going on. At which place you are currently sitting, in which city you are living, who is the person accompanying you. So, after listening to the answers, it was interpreted that the patient has an intact orientation. Now comes the attention. As we have read, to assess the attention, the digits repetition test was conducted forward and backward, and the patient was able to produce forward digits till 6 digits and backward digits till 4 digits, which indicates that the patient had good attention. In concentration, the patient was asked to perform the serial subtraction test, that is, subtract 7 from 100 and make a series. Now the patient was able to do it till the second step. In the third step, she got confused, and starting from there, she got the answers wrong, which indicated that the concentration of the patient was impaired. Next is the memory. To assess the memory of the patient, certain tests were followed. For the immediate memory recall, before the test was done before, that is digit repetition test. Second, recent memory recall. The patient was asked various questions like what did you have in your breakfast, how did you come here in the clinic, that is the mode of transport, and what all had you done from today morning till now. For the remote memory, the patient was asked to recollect her personal information like marriage, childbirth, schooling. The answers given were correct, which showed that the patient had a good memory. The constructional ability was also intact of the patient. She was asked to draw 2 and 3 dimensional figures, which she replicated in a good way. Intelligence. The intelligence of the patient was assessed by asking questions according to her educational and social background. The patient was also asked to solve certain mathematical problems which she was able to solve. Complete insight was present in the patient, level 6. The level of the insight was level 6. Last was the judgment. To assess the judgment of the patient, we asked questions like what are your future plans after the treatment? This assess the personal judgment. Second, what would you do if you saw that your neighbor's house is on fire? This is the test judgment. And to assess the social judgment, we saw her behavior while sitting in the center and in the room where the interview was going on. The assessment of judgment indicated that it was good and intact. Now, this was the total case history and mental status examination of a case. Now, please note down the questions, and you should brainstorm the mind that whether you have got the answers to these questions after this session. Once you have noted, please give me a message of yes, then I'll move forward. Yes, Neha, we do another concentration test for the confirmation. We give the patient the time of 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. No Sapandeep, no hallucination signs were there. As I've already mentioned, there were no perceptual abnormalities in the patient. Now, what is obsessive compulsive disorder? Basically, this order is characterized by obsessive thoughts and compulsive behaviors. Now, the question arises in our mind, what are obsessions? These are recurrent, that means repetitive or in repetition, and persistent, that means continuous. Intrusive thoughts that are unwanted and cause anxiety. These obsessions lead to compulsions. Now, what are compulsions? These are overt, repetitive behaviors done to reduce anxiety. Now comes the DSM criteria of obsessive compulsive disorders. Presence of obsessions, compulsions, or both. Now, obsessions are defined recurrent and persistent thoughts, urges, or impulses that are experienced at some time during the disturbance as intrusive and unwanted, and that in most individuals cause marked anxiety or distress. This is the definition given by DSM. The individual attempts to ignore or suppress such thoughts, urges, or images, or to neutralize them with some other thought or action, which, which leads to formation of compulsions. Now, the definition of compulsions given by DSM. Compulsions are the repetitive behaviors or the mental act that the individual feels driven to perform in response to an obsession or according to the rules that must be applied rigidly. The behaviors or mental acts that are performed are aimed at preventing to reduce anxiety or distress or preventing some dreaded event or situation. However, these behaviors are not connected in a realistic way with what they are designed to neutralize or prevent or are clearly excessive. B, B criteria, this was the A criteria that obsessions or compulsions or both should be present. Now B, the obsessions or compulsions are time consuming or may cause clinically significant distress or impairment in any area of functioning, may be social, occupational. C criteria, the obsessive compulsive symptoms are not attributable to physiological effects of a substance. We should keep in mind that if any symptom you can find of obsessive compulsive disorder, it should not be attributable to any effect of the substance or any medication. D point, the disturbance is not better explained by the symptom of another mental disorder. Like if you see the disturbance or the symptom in a particular patient, you should see that it should not be explained by any other mental disorder. I'll give you example for this. Suppose a person has a preoccupation with his body image or the appearance, so it should not be occurred by what is called body dysmorphic disorder. Or another example, like if there are repetitive patterns of behavior, so it should not be occurred by what is called autism, which we will read in further classes. Now, epidemiology and onset of obsessive compulsive disorders. OCD affects 3% of the population, and it affects both men and women equally. The average age of onset is late adolescence or early adulthood in India, but it is more earlier in Western countries. Comorbidity with other disorders. Comorbidity, as you have read, OCD frequently co-occurs with most of the anxiety disorders, most commonly with social phobia, panic disorder, GAD, that is generalized anxiety disorder, and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. 25 to 50% of people with OCD may experience major depression at some time in their lives. This statistics is taken from the book Abnormal Psychology by Carson and Butcher, that is 16th edition, 2017. In this statistics value may differ in many other books. Common obsession and compulsions we can find in different patients. Obsessions are obsession of contamination, obsession of not being safe, sexual obsession, saving or hoarding obsession, obsession with symmetry, compulsions, washing, checking, counting, collecting or hoarding, arranging. Now, what is the treatment? We have made a diagnosis. Now, what the further treatment can be? First is medications, that is pharmacotherapy. The person or the patient can be put on medications. Second is psychotherapy. Under psychotherapy comes the cognitive behavioral therapy. Mostly under cognitive behavioral therapy with the patients of OCD, we perform exposure and response prevention therapy. I suppose that most of you have read this as your homework, the exposure and response prevention therapy. I'll explain some of a little bit of it. In the exposure and response prevention therapy, the component of exposure involves the patient repeatedly being exposed to the anxiety provoking stimulus. The stimulus that is provoking anxiety in that patient, he or she is exposed to that stimulus. And response prevention. This component means that the patient has to refrain himself or herself from engaging in that particular act or the ritual which he is performing to मतलब anxiety को कम करने के लिए the person who is performing some rituals, he has to refrain from himself from doing that. The patients will see with some time gap that the anxiety will dissipate or will disappear slowly and slowly. According to the evidence, 40 to 50% anxiety decreases from ERP, that is exposure and response prevention therapy. References: DSM-5, Abnormal Psychology by Butcher, Mineka, and Houle, that is 16th edition. And for the beginners who are the beginners in the psychology subject, you can refer to the YouTube channel known as osmosis. Here, all the disorders are explained very clearly. So you can refer to this channel. Thank you.
Thank you, Punya. Thank you for a very, very wonderful presentation and talking in depth about OCD. You really made my task more difficult. I'm figuring out what should I discuss next. Okay, so a couple of people have asked about obsessions and compulsions. We have roughly 2 minutes left in this meeting, and this meeting will end. You'll have to join in another meeting, the link that has been given to you, and I'll discuss in detail about the differences between obsessions and compulsions and talk about a little bit more about the definition. It will be more so for the people who want to understand OCD in further depth. For people who are asking, discuss case with exposure therapy, it is really more about understanding the OCD bit than understanding how to do the therapy bit. So there is a difference. So our syllabus in this workshop limits us to talking about definitions of obsession compulsive disorders. Treatment and management part, as I mentioned, we will be taking up another course where we will be talking about CBT in detail. There we will take up exposure and response prevention. Yes, it was somewhat like conditioning, and it is making them learn not to respond. Yes, it is more like that. So I want you guys to keep your questions ready. In less than a minute, I'm going to switch off this meeting and meet you on the other side of the room in another meeting, and we'll talk more about answering the questions and talk more about OCD. It's really a very interesting topic. I hope you all of you guys had fun. I'll be sharing this presentation with you. There is another meeting scheduled at 7 p.m. today for people who have been asking us constantly about the project. They can send us a message, and we'll be sharing the link in the group, and you can join the meeting there at 7 p.m. to talk about what type of projects you can submit. All right, guys. See you in 10 minutes time. Take care.